Cheap Chinese action camera teardown. Today in Mikey's lab. Hi, and welcome back to the lab. On this channel, we do a lot of science, we do a lot of DIY, we do a lot of making, we do a lot of engineering. This, however, is our first teardown video. Those of you who've been with the channel for a while know that I use an action camera called an SJ cam as my bench cam. If you've watched any of my other videos, all of the footage that happens on the bench is shot with this action camera. So lab code up. We're going to learn something today. Now this is a very cost-effective action camera, and I've been nothing but impressed with the line so far. So with that in mind, I decided that I wanted to spice up the channel a little bit. I wanted to be able to move with bench shots from angle to angle to try and break up the monotony of staring at one position for 20 minutes long while I solder something or we build something together. I know some of you it won't matter. For me, I like the idea of being able to shift angles. It plays well with my hyperactivity, and that's what we do. So I ordered two of these, which were let's wait for the auto. Okay, there we go. Which were advertised as SJ cameras. These are not SJ cameras. It has become recently very apparent to me that even Chinese companies have to worry about Chinese ripoffs of their products. So let's go through what I got, what I ordered, and what I thought I was getting. I have since ordered new products, and I will say that Banggood has made this right. I wound up paying about $13 for both of these cameras, and then didn't have to ship them back. So it was worth it for me to have the video, but now I get to tear one apart for you guys. Alright, so first let's jump to the PC for a second. This is what I ordered. For those of you that are ordering from Banggood, sometimes too good to be true is, well, true. And you occasionally do get what you pay for. The authentic SJ cam should be around $80 for an SJ 4000, which doesn't have the Wi-Fi and doesn't shoot in 4K. But it is what I use on the bench because it shoots great 1080p. So what I ordered was these ones here. Two of these. Right? It does say that it's an SJ 9000. Right, that it has Wi-Fi, and that it's a 4K camera. Yeah, no. Right, so if we scroll down, I thought maybe I would see something down here. Right, but it does say that it shoots 4K 30 frames per second and 2.7K at 30 frames per second. Why you would want the 2.7, I don't know. Right, it's waterproof up to 30 meters with the case. I haven't tested this, so I don't know if that's true or not. It has Wi-Fi built into it. It does the apps okay, but the sensor in the camera sucks so bad it doesn't matter either way. And it says it takes about 3 hours to recharge, which is about right. Alright. So to give you an idea of the type of quality that this camera has, I'm just going to grab the camera. Turn it on. I'm going to put it into 1080p mode. Let's make sure the other camera can see the camera. Camera in camera. Resolution. The reason I'm putting it in 1080p mode is this camera is shooting in 1080p. Okay. So I'm going to start this recording. I'm going to set it right on top of the other camera. Now this is an ideal situation for a camera. I have 3 studio lights, there's a ton of light bouncing off of me, and everything should be perfectly clear like the one from the Sony camera that I'm looking at right now. As you can see, this is not 1080p. I would be surprised if the sensor was actually natively 640 by 480 and it's trying to upscale. So let's take a look at everything that came here. So now, we've obviously established that I didn't get what I had ordered. Not even close to it. So let's dive down to the bench. Let's open the package that arrived. Let's see what we found. And let's tear down this camera. And see if we can figure out what shortcuts they took to make this suck so much. Alright, so when the cameras finally arrived, this is what came in the mail. Not the box I was expecting, because I've bought SJ cameras before, and their packaging is really nice. So let's open up the box. Inside we find a camera in a protective case. Standard protective case. Now the good news is this protective case does actually fit authentic SJ cameras, so I'll be able to use it still. Alright, we find a couple of Velcro straps. Could be handy for other things. We find a mount for the camera, which will fit other SJ cameras as well, so that'll be useful still too. We find what is supposed to be used as a bicycle mount, but I haven't used these things here to mount cameras to weird locations in the lab. And for our fishing show as well. If you haven't checked out our sister channel, Fishing for the Rest of Us, go check it out. I'll link it in the description down below. Manual, which leaves much to be desired. And a couple more pieces for attaching the action cam to things. So we're done with that. Okay, I'm going to keep these around for use with other cameras as I may need them. But let's take a look at this, which is our action camera itself. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open up this waterproof case and get the camera out. It comes just like this with protective covers over top of the screen, none over top of the lens, which is what I thought was causing the crappy nature of the camera in the first place. But no, it's just a really crappy camera. Alright, so let's try to get this thing open. The first thing I'm going to do is peel off this protective cover here, because we're going to wreck the crap out of this anyway. Open up the battery compartment. Let's pull the battery out. Maybe. Wow, that was not designed well. Okay, so we have a rechargeable lithium-ion battery, which, if I had to guess, it's saying it's a 3.7 volt, but the 3 taps on the side here, to me, would mean that it probably is 2-cell. So is it a 2P battery? Let's find out. Where is my multimeter? Multimeter to voltage DC. I have 4.8 volts out of the entire battery. 4.08. 4.08. So both of these on the left, are on this side right here, on the right hand side where it's labeled minus, are both ground. At least it's a 1-cell battery. The capacity on the battery is labeled 900 milliamp hour, which, to be absolutely honest, I believe this is about the right size for 900 milliamp hour lithium-ion battery. We're obviously going to use this battery for other projects. Okay, so there does not appear to be any screws or any obvious way into this thing. So let's go ahead and be less gentle. Alright, so here we are. So we're going to grab the spatula. I'm going to try to get underneath the screen here. I have a feeling that... Oh, there's another screen protector on here too. Get that off. There we go. That's what I was expecting. Take this bezel off. And there's the actual screen. We're starting to get somewhere with getting into this thing. I was expecting to see screws and such. At this point. There are a couple right there. I want to be careful of this flex ribbon right here. Because if I can, I'd like to salvage the screen. It could be useful for other projects. Let's grab a screwdriver kit. Let's grab a tiny Phillips. That is being held in there. Grab a pair of hemostats. Get that screw out of there. Okay. Switch up to a flathead. That'll be better for prying. Pop that screen open. Alright. So now we're starting to get somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and undo the connector for that screen. It's going to be one of two types. It's going to be the flip up type. Flip up type. Okay. So we have a tiny little LCD screen. No VDS ribbon. And we'll have to look up that this part number and see what we can do with this. It may require some skilled soldering. Okay, so inside of here you can see the motherboard. And there's another screw in my way of getting this further apart. So I'm grabbing Phillips screwdriver again. Let's go ahead and undo that screw. Oh, okay. That explains a lot. There's the button pad for that battery. There for that, for the front button. Find a bunch more screws here. Okay, so I made that much harder on myself than I needed to. The front popped off and I found 4 more screws. So we're going to go ahead and pull those apart. As you can see, the entire housing of this thing is just like the cheapest plastic I have ever seen. It doesn't even feel like the actual quality of an actual SJ cam. Okay. So we got that apart. Again, this probably would have been much easier to take out if I hadn't partially forced that through the back. There we go. Okay. So we have a very tiny board and a very tiny sensor. With a permanent focus, no real way to get inside of it. We go to the microscope here. I don't know if I can. No real actual detail anywhere here as to what kind of sensor this is, or we'll be destructive to that in a moment. We can see a couple of button patterns here, right, which may be useful for later projects. I'm not too concerned about that. We have our Wi-Fi antenna here, which, by the way, the Wi-Fi on these types of cameras have kind of a fatal flaw. They're underwater waterproof cameras, but as most of you will know, water and radio frequencies don't mix. So as soon as the camera hits the water, you can expect the Wi-Fi to disconnect. And if you've been recording via Wi-Fi, the camera will stop recording. Pro tip. Don't ask. Okay, so we've got a couple of ICs here. Let's take a look under the microscope. See if I can orient myself. Do I have a chance of getting any of the detail out of this thing? There is some writing. I'm just not getting the detail I need to read it. There's a surface mount IC. The soldering on the board does not look bad. If we flip this over, there's the main processor. Let's reorient the microscope here. I don't recognize that logo. We'll do a quick Google search later to see if we can identify what that is. As well as that guy. SD card socket. Our external crystal. Now, as you can see under the microscope, the soldering is actually pretty good. Somebody put some care into this thing. Not as horrible as it could be, but it looks like there's a lot of coating on it. I'm gonna say that this is the Wi-Fi chip. Right here, given its proximity to the antenna. Once I find it on the actual screen here. There it is. I'm gonna say that this is the Wi-Fi chip. And the Wi-Fi section handling through there. As you can see, it's just a PCB antenna. So, the antenna's not that good. Up here we have your standard PCB based microphone. I may desolder that. That one might actually be worth using. Most of this stuff is not really. So there you have it. That is what is inside possibly the cheapest and worst action camera I have ever seen. Lesson to be learned here is quite simple. Sometimes you get what you pay for. The things from China, while most of them are nice and cheap, and some of them are actually good quality, not everything's going to be a hit. When it comes to the action cameras, I heavily recommend the SJ cams. This was not an SJ cam. So we did wind up with a couple of parts that we can take a look at later and possibly reuse for projects. One is this LCD screen, which I'm going to put this as a piece of plastic back over, because might as well try to protect it. The other one is this battery. I would say there really doesn't even appear to be a battery management circuit in here unless that's what that is, the battery management IC. All in all, for $13, it's worth the teardown, but save your money. Don't buy this particular camera. The ones that I have been purchasing, the one that I use for my bench shots, if you want to use a similar camera for your application, it's an SJ4000. It only shoots in 1080p. It doesn't have Wi-Fi, and it's about $80. Its bigger brother, the SJ8, is about $160, and it has the Wi-Fi, it has the 4K, it has a higher frame rate, and is a wonderful camera as well. A little bit beyond what I need for here, so as I said, I've ordered 2 more authentic SJ cameras, and they'll be here hopefully sometime in the next couple of months. Slow boat from China, Canada Post strike. Yeah, there's lots of things working against me right now. So that's what we have right here. Thank you for joining me in the lab today. I hope you learned something, and I will see you next time.